Hello.
Hi.
No, you're good. How are you?
I'm good.
No, Victoria just walked in.
Oh,
She said,
hey, Victoria.
she's wear a mask.
Jim said we had to wear masks
Oh, did we?
in the
I don't know. I'm not wearing a mask.
Did you see my new mask?
What? Where'd you get that?
I ordered it.
Oh, cool.
KW one.
Yeah, KW cares.
I got you.
All right. Get this rolling here.
Sorry.
Huh?
I'll get out here in a minute.
All right, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Is that for the?
Left Street.
Yeah, that's closing today.
Yeah.
Okay, which one got moved? Turkey Point
Turkey Point.
to when?
End of next month.
End of next month?
Yeah, I need a new lender. I've got two.
What about Keller Mortgage?
I suggested Keller Mortgage. But I got the new pre-approval letter and it looks good, so.
I have to start this.
I've got two. So,
All right, where's everybody at, Cece?
I don't know. Terry must have like just wowed them and they're stunned.
Or is he still going? Oh no, we wouldn't be able to be on if he was still
No,
going, right?
Terry's on here with us. He didn't hear me say that. I just clicked the button for him to join.
Oh, yep, okay, got it.
Actually, they might all still be wowed by my magic trick. Did you see my magic trick?
I didn't.
Oh, it's final disappearing act for green sheets.
Oh,
I did a video. I posted it to the group. It was fun. I got magic paper or flash paper from the magic shop.
why am I not surprised?
It was cool.
All right, look,
I got my hair a little more green just for it.
give it a few more minutes, get some people jumping on here.
We are, for the first time today, streaming this live to our page, not to the group, to the page.
Okay. Is that to the public?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
All right, so we got some people jumping on. I got Facebook Live going on my personal page as well. So we'll get right in and right to it. Talking about profit first. Okay, guys, if you've been following along the last couple of days, we are now on chapter 3, setting up profit for your business. Setting up profit first for your business is the title of the chapter. And so again, it goes back to what we've been talking about. And this chapter really focuses on how to go ahead and set that up. And so we're going to talk about some bank accounts and some stuff that may just make you kind of go, right now. Don't worry about that. Yet it's really reinforcing the way we go ahead and take profit in our business. So yesterday we were talking about, most times we've got our GCI or we've got our income up here, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take out our cost of sales and we're going to take out our spending, expenses, whatnot, and then what's left over is the profit. And so instead, we're flipping that upside down. And so what this chapter really dives into is I've got my GCI, I've got my total amount of money, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to take my profit first. Okay, I'm going to take out my 40%, and then I'm going to figure out a way to pay my cost of sales and my expenses and all of my spending after the fact. So when we look at this, it's a really simple, just kind of flip your mind. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll say, oh, that's okay because, you know, that's my profit. So my profit's going to be a little bit less this month, and that's okay. Yet, what if our spending was a little bit less that month, right? Instead. So that's why we really want to get people to look at this a little bit differently and show how people can be successful. So when you're doing this in the book, and if you guys have the book or following along over on page 52, he says there's 5 fundamental accounts, or 5 foundational accounts. And so those foundational accounts, and you go into your bank, you go ahead and set up these bank accounts. And so with the bank accounts, you should have one that's labeled as your income. One is going to be labeled profit. Then owner's compensation, or owner's comp. Taxes. And then OPEX, okay? OPEX, all right? And what that's going to be is that one's going to be for the utilities, expenses, things like that. So when you're looking in your personal life, right? So we know what our income is, or as we call it in real estate world, our GCI. So that's going to be that first account, okay? And so that's where when we get a paycheck, we're going to have it direct deposited right into that account, okay? That's my income. Then, as we all know, with the 30-30-40 model that we've talked about before, where our cost of sales is 30%, our expenses are 30%, and our profit is 40%, the second account is called profit. So we're going to take that income, we're going to go ahead from that account, we're going to transfer 40% of whatever that is over into our profit account first. It has to go in this order, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in our owner's compensation, right? We're going to take from our income what should be the owner's comp. Then what is the fourth one? Tax. What money is owed to the federal government? What taxes? And I like the way he worded this in here. He didn't say how much money we owe the government, like I just said. He said the government's money. Because when you look at it, whether you guys agree with the taxes or not, doesn't matter. That's really their money. When we change our mindset and start looking at it as it being somebody else's money instead of money that I have to pay to the federal government, it flips it in your head. So, you know, as we say in bold, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change, right? And so we really need to look at that that's not our money, okay? And then lastly is the OPEX account, which is going to be everything for utilities. And again, this is not just a real estate conversation. This is just in your general life and how you do your family life and your business, where are all those expenses going? Okay. Now you may say, well, wait a second, PJ, I don't have enough to pay my bills, right? I put the 40% into profit, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into the profit, and I'm going to take that so I've got enough to pay my bills now. Well, that's the wrong thing to do, okay? If we're setting aside our profit first, we then need to go and figure out how we make payments on the other things, right? And so that's kind of what we were talking about from the beginning. So guys, take a step back for a second and think about that. If I don't have enough money to go ahead and pay the light bill and this, that, and the other thing, well, where am I spending my money? Or did I not properly budget at the beginning of the year or the beginning of this? Or did something change and I'm now getting paid less from my business, right? So, and with coronavirus, COVID, and everything happening right now, sure, I'm sure there's some people that are getting less income coming in. So we need to know where we can tighten our belts. And so we do it in this order. And again, I know half of you guys are probably going to listen to this and hear it. And then some of you are going to say, yeah, I'm still just going to I'm going to pull the money the other way. And then whatever ends up in profit ends up in profit. You guys, then you're missing the whole point here. We've got to take the profit out first and then figure out the other categories. So I hope that makes sense. One thing in here that I highlighted last night when I was just reviewing through this again was if you take money from your profit account and put it back into the business, you're basically saying that you are unwilling to find a way to run your business with operating expenses you allocate for it. So what you're saying is that my business, right, these expenses that I've allocated for, right, you're saying that you're unwilling to find a way to run a successful business or run a business with or without those operating costs, right, or those operating expenses. So we have to really look at it and say, okay, well, if we know that we're getting X amount of dollars in, what is our negotiable? Where are we? Okay, maybe rent of an office, right? So maybe your office rent is too much for the amount of money that's coming in, and change the office. Maybe your advertising budget is too high, yet we usually will run away from pain and will run towards pleasure. And so when we're looking at this, the challenge that we have around it is, what are we running towards and what are we running away from? See, it's really easy for us a lot of times to say, it's okay, I'll give up some of my profit, or it's okay, I'll allow that because this is really going to blow my business up next year, or whatever it is, right? The problem with that is that we continue to play that game because we're already in that mindset. We stay in that mindset and we're never going to be profitable. And so we may think that we're profitable. We may bring home some money. We may have a new car. We may buy a new house. We may have all of these material possessions that tell us that I'm successful, yet if the business isn't profitable, it really doesn't matter, right? And what we're all experiencing now with COVID and this shift in the economy is really going to expose who's got profit in their business and who doesn't. So one of the questions he said when he talks about setting up these foundational accounts, one of the questions he gets asked a lot is, I haven't ever been profitable in the past. So how can I take profit now? And so again, says by taking profit first, you're fundamentally changing the way you run your business, okay? Now, we guys, those of you that are Keller Williams agents or real estate agents that have taken the BOLD program, I'm just happening to be wearing the t-shirt today. You guys know that, you change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. And we've talked about that before. A lot of this book is getting you to change your thinking around profit in your business and how you approach it. It's not necessarily that we're doing it right, wrong, indifferent. This is a different way of doing it. And it should be what it was for me when I first read this book, was an aha moment around, okay, I'm focusing on the wrong things. I'm focusing on my expenses. I'm focusing on paying these things off. So he says in here, nothing changes if nothing changes. And that reminds me of, you continue to do what you did, you do what you do, you'll get what you got, right? If you continue to do the same things, there's no change, you're always going to get the same results. So he says nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you don't change the way you take your profit, you will never take a profit. And I think for some of us, that could be hitting home really hard. I shared with you guys yesterday on here about, when I was running a business and I was selling over $10 million in real estate and my profit was $23,000. I mean, I was poverty level essentially, yet it's okay because I've got this great business and this, that, and the other thing going. No. If it's not profitable, if you're not making the money, then what's the point, right? We don't just work to work, right? Well, some of us do. And so when we start looking at this differently is where we'll start embracing that. And so guys, again, I go back and give you those 5 foundational accounts: the income, profit, owner compensation, tax, and the OPEX, okay? So those are how you should have your businesses set up, or even if this is just in your personal world. And as you transfer the money, we go back to the Dave Ramsey scenario we've been talking about the last couple of days of the envelope game, right? There's an envelope for, mortgage, there's an envelope for utilities, there's an envelope for cable, so on and so forth. And we figure out what we need to cut out about that. In this chapter, he also talks a lot about his mother. And he talks about how his mom went ahead and set up, because he said she didn't make a lot of money, yet she always had enough for food. He said that didn't mean she always had the same amount, she just always had enough for food. And one of the things that he talks about in here is where she figured out that she needed to have 50% of her income was for her mortgage allocation. And so setting that up, 50% of that was going into that right away. And so if she wasn't as productive in that month, it wasn't the mortgage company who's going to be like, hey, sorry, I'm $100 short this month, I'll get you next month. No, that wasn't how it worked. It was, okay, the food, as he talks about here, that was what you know, maybe it wasn't, and you guys know I make the joke all the time about Ruth Chris steak dinners, right? Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was, you know, bologna sandwiches for dinner instead, because that is where they could move the needle, right? That is where they were able to make an adjustment in their scenario. So, guys, a lot of times we get stuck in this notion of, I can't change that. I can't make this difference. I can't. And I hate the word can't. Those of you guys that know me really well know that I have a 9-year-old son, Nash, and he's not allowed to say the word can't in our household. That's just a rule that we have. And when he says can't, we sit down and we have a conversation about the word and why he uses that word. A lot of times we get stuck in the rhythm of our past. We get stuck in the rhythm of the generations that we grew up with. I shared on here the story, I think a couple weeks ago, about the woman cooking the Easter ham, and she cuts the ends off of each ham, and the daughter asks her why, and she says, well, go ask your grandmother because that's what she taught me. And the grandmother says, go ask your great-grandmother because that's what she taught me. And as a result, the great-grandmother says, well, that's just because we didn't have a pan big enough. We had to cut the ends of the ham off to fit it in the oven. And so for generation after generation, they were set in this way. So what do you guys have in your world, or what has been imprinted upon you or in your mindset since you were a kid that you know this is how we do this because this is just the way we've always done it? And so again, I go back to, you know, if you do what you always did, you get what you always got. So how do we change that? Well, it starts with the mindset and changing the behavior around it. So when we talk about the ham or whatever it is, right? You guys have embedded commands that have been put in your brain since you were a little kid. And so, you know, the first one I'll say is, you know, money is the root of all. What is it, right? What's money the root of all? Anybody answer on Facebook, whatever?
Evil.
What do we say? Terry says evil. Money is the root of all happiness, right? Well, okay, so Terry says evil, I say happiness, right? Yet, and Terry's correct. That's commonly what we hear, right? We hear people saying money is the root of all evil, and I want to analyze that for a quick second. And some of you guys have heard me do this before, so I apologize. Yet I think it's really important when we actually think about it. What is money, right? Like, what is it, right? This is paper. It's cloth in this country, right? That's what this is, right? And so if we take that, it really, all it does is that's just a value. We know that this equates to whatever, right? This $20 can equate to a tank of gas. This $20 can equate to whatever we need for ourselves. It's just a bartering chip, but in all honesty, it doesn't really have emotion. So actually, Terry and I are both wrong. It's not evil. It's not happy. It's only good for the good it can do. It's only evil for the evil that money can do. And so why do we have that notion in our head? And you say, well, you know, I'm sure Terry will say that's what his dad told him, right? Or that's what his uncle told him, or maybe from his peers he heard that, right? And so why do people tell us this if it's not true? Well, typically, and before you guys all call your parents and start yelling at them, PJ told me you lied to me when I was a kid. No, okay? They're telling you this because they want to protect you, okay? 85% of this country lives in some sort of debt, one way, shape, or form or another. Okay, that's probably a low number too. All right. Yet if 85% of us are in debt, we're always kind of chasing to get up to catch it, and we're never going to. And a lot of us die in debt, unfortunately. Yet what happens if we change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, and we start living in abundance instead of living in scarcity? And so what I mean by that is, let's stop looking at money as evil, because what do we do when we don't like something? Are we attracted to it, or do we hide from it, or do we run away from it? Yeah, we leave it, right? So if we think money is this evil thing, we know that evil is wrong. We don't want to touch it, so we're afraid to have a lot of money. Or when we get a lot of money, we want to spend it really fast because we have this preconceived notion in the back of our mind, an embedded command from when we were a child, that money is the root of all evil. So we don't want to have a lot of money. And you say, wait a second, PJ, I want a lot of money. Yeah. We should want a lot of money. Yet until we understand that money's not evil, until we understand that money can be an amazing tool, because that's all it really is. It's a tool that either makes us better, it could make us worse, it could take us down a path that we don't want to go down. Yet it's just a tool. We have to be smart enough to understand how we're going to use money to our advantage. And so in this book, Profit First, okay, in this book, that's what we're talking about. How do we get smarter about using our money, right? Think about it this way. Go take any job out there, right, where somebody's getting paid a salary. Terry, I'll use you as an example. Terry and I, we have the same job. We get paid the same amount, right? Yet Terry, goes out every Friday and Saturday night and does the movies and stuff like that because that's what he enjoys to do. Maybe I don't. Maybe I stay home every Friday and Saturday night. Maybe I go out once a month. I have a splurge night. Yet as him and I work side by side year after year after year, and then I'm starting to acquire more things. Maybe I've got a nice fancy car, right? Or maybe I bought a bigger house. Yet Terry and myself, we have the same job. We get paid the same amount of money. So it's what we decide to do with it. And so when we decide that we're going to go out every weekend or we're going to go and spend our money over here, listen, guys, I'm not telling you not to go out and have fun. Just remember, there's certain things that you can change and control, and then there's some things that you can't, right? You can't decide this month that you want to pay less on your mortgage. You can't decide this month that, you know what, the cable, yeah, I'm only going to give them, 80 of the $100 for cable. That doesn't work. Now, you may decide that, hey, I don't need cable. I'm just going to get Netflix and I'm good because that's all I watch. Okay, that's an intelligent decision that you went ahead to make for savings because, as I'm using Terry as an example, he likes going out every weekend, okay? And so we have to understand and identify whatever we're going to spend our money on, we have to take profit first. You have to take 40% of your income first and put it away for profit. Otherwise, we're not really doing it for anything. So short chapter, short day today, guys. If you got questions, comments, put them down here. Terry says, need a home budget. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about here, right? We're setting up a budget for our life. We're setting up a budget for our businesses. I see Bruce Powell jumped on there. He's a business owner, not a real estate agent, yet a business owner. He runs his own business. And so, guys, this formula works. It works for everybody in every business, and it works for you in your personal life. So when you start embracing it is when things are going to change. Until you embrace it, it's not going to change. So I don't see any more questions or comments. So, guys, thank you so much for being here again. Pivot with PJ tomorrow. Friday at 2 p.m. Same time, same channel. You guys got any questions, comments, concerns? Shoot me a note. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. Bye.
Thanks, PJ.
Thanks.